today I have the folks from the panel Being Comfortable Being a Geek. Now, having been a longtime nerd myself, and back in the 90s ancient times, it wasn't quite as socially acceptable to be an otaku as it is nowadays. I can definitely relate to the content in this panel. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves to us?
Absolutely. So I go by Jokes. You have my homie Gage. Got
Yep,
the homie
that's
Sin.
me.
That would be I.
And collectively, we go by Loading Snacks. Pretty much cover pop
That
culture
sounds like it has a
topics.
story behind it.
Oh yeah, there's a story.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll make it easy for you. Normally we would ask everybody, what they think a loading snack is, but like just for time's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. Loading snack is something that you can consume without actually destroying your controller. So while you're sitting there playing your video games, something that you can grab, eat, but don't have to worry about messing the controller. Good example, fruit snacks.
Bad
So
example,
hanging
cheese
out of your
curls.
tongue.
And that's actually on our loading.
Wait,
Like
cheese curls, isn't that,
come on,
isn't
there's a
that
chomp
like
chomp.
all over the fingers?
Yeah, that's a fail. Yes, that's a fail.
Absolute fail.
Right.
So, first question I'd like to ask you, gentlemen, is it's no secret that the country is quite polarized right now. What new meaning and what new context does being comfortable being a geek mean to the panel?
So the biggest thing is just like all of us are into different things. Now, for this particular case, we'll go like with anime. Um, there was a point in time where if you say you were someone that actually watched anime, a lot of people would look at you kind of like, "Oh, you watch that stuff." But it's become, I guess the word would be to say, acceptable more as time has moved through. Um, but the word for geek, I feel like can be defined. This is actually a conversation we've actually had numerous times, as just someone that has an abundance of knowledge about a certain topic. So whether it's anime, video games, some people like my friend Gage likes to always say a sports buff, someone that can rattle off like endless stats for whatever reason that nobody probably would think you would know, but just one that has that type of knowledge around these type of topics.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, I
become a
think
lot more socially acceptable to be
correct.
focused on one thing and to be proud of that fandom. Whereas, for a long
Correct.
time, the only thing it was really okay to be proud of was being a sports fan or something like that. But in more current times, it's okay to be super passionate about one thing, be it anime or anything else. And society is accommodating that now.
Yeah, it helps now.
I just think people are
running the world.
more open to it. We geeks are kind of in control of a lot of the things now that everybody's watching. You see stuff like the MCU kind of take off, people. And sure, we'll take normal people. It's the kind of thing that now, especially in a time like this when there's so much division, those of us who attend cons, we go there because we all find that we love the same kinds of things, even if they're slightly different. And so it kind of brings that unity. So this panel is really about finding that level of comfortability and finding people who are like you. And even taking the things, if you like sports and somebody else likes anime, being able to figure out, well, you love stats and so do I. You know what I mean? I'm into Goku and all of his stats, and you're into Kobe and all of his stats. And so we're into the same thing and kind of finding that unifying thing, that thread between them.
You bring up an excellent point. One of the things I've always loved about conventions is that you meet new people with similar interests. You go there, you're waiting in a line, you're going to be in that line for at least an hour. Talk to the person in front of you. Like, I have made so many friends just waiting in a line, busting out my tablet, playing something, voila, 2 new friends, front and back.
Yep.
Like I said, we've all done the same thing, going to these cons, loving them. Just we're doing what we've been doing for the past few years with Loading Snacks. We've met so many great people. Just going there to enjoy all the things we love. Even if something like you have PlayStation fanboys, Xbox fanboys, like we can have little heated debates, but it's still all love at the end of the day for gaming and stuff like that. And that's just one thing I love about this community. Just there's so much positivity, and then love being pumped into it. I think a panel that we have like this is important because we know that people aren't comfortable in their skin right now. We're just trying to talk about our personal journeys and help them, see the light at the end of the tunnel going forward.
It's absolutely the case. So many people are ashamed of the things that they like. And
Yeah,
society, doesn't help
Yeah,
with that. How dare you be outside of the normal mold? But I think that gatherings like Otakon are one of the places that can really help people realize that it's okay to like the things you like. And there are other people who
Absolutely.
also like it.
absolutely. Hmm.
absolutely.
So, since a lot of us got into anime and other things that are in the geek title, teasing and being so unashamed is written off as a childhood phase. As we've learned over time, it's not really an on off switch, and those effects linger. What have you discovered as you've explored this topic?
Just over time is the fact that even to this day, individuals, younger, middle aged, older, a lot of people still experience these things. And, we just always try to have conversations. Like we've run into at cons where we've seen some things like this actually happen. Um, people want to try to put down someone for whatever various reason, but we always like to ask the question, why is it that you want to do that? Why is it that you're doing it? A lot of people, for one, don't have an answer for it. But it comes to one for a lot of them is just the understanding portion of it. And it's the fact that they don't necessarily understand why it is that someone likes or love one of these particular topics. So like we always to say to someone, we know what, go learn about it. Take your time to understand why it is that this person likes this particular thing for so much reason. And you know what? At the same time, you may share something with them that they may not like, but they may understand and open up a little bit to understand these type of things for it.
Thank you. That's really understanding answer. Last question for you folks. Trying to end it on a little bit of a lighter note. What is one of the funniest things that's ever happened at your panel?
Oh man, are we going to use
I'm
I mean,
MCU type of
about to
thing?
say it depends on what panel we're talking about here.
I mean, here's the thing. For this panel in particular, um, usually the things that are funny have a tendency to be around people actually telling their stories, like instances that they've had where something happened to them, at a young age or something. For us, there tends to be there's an age gap, between
Mhm.
myself and Sin and Jokes, of about 10 years, and we have a tendency to rib a little bit as
To
far
pick on
as
them a little bit.
what Jokes came up loving and and enjoying compared to say what Sin and I came up loving and enjoying. And so a lot of times what happens at in those instances is really relative specifically to us just having some good natured fun and
Mm,
poking at each other because there is that age gap. But it also helps to bring to the realization that um, folks, geeks like us, have been around for so long, and our panels
Yeah.
tend to have, folks who are in their 60s, 70s,
mm-hmm.
all the way down to their young teens. We've had people who have come in who have brought in their children who, are on the autistic spectrum or something along those lines. We've had parents who have sat in on our panel and they're there because they were the kind of person that made fun of people like us when they were in high school, and now their kid is the kind of person that they would have made
Mm-hmm.
fun
Hmm.
of, and they're trying to get an understanding and get some direction for how they can be better. And so uh even when stuff like that happens, it usually is that we just kind of get to poke a little fun at each other because of the differences that we have in Jokes being a Pokemon guy, and we
Absolutely.
didn't grow up on Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Oh,
kind of a
can't
thing.
forgive her for that.
He's a
Nope, it's
Power
over.
Rangers guy,
Yep.
not
Yeah.
really, where we came up. It's just stuff like that.
Yeah.